A story about Hong Kong Island movies. I am Wu Xiaozu, making the best movies and enjoying the best times. Mushroom Cool Cinema Group ID 367446887 Keywords of the novel. I am a Hong Kong Island filmmaker without pop-ups. I am a Hong Kong Island filmmaker. Download the complete TXT collection, and read the latest chapters of my Hong Kong Island filmmaker. Chapter 1. Prison Returns, Light of Friendship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Prison Returns, Light of Friendship. On August 18, 1986, at 18:28 p.m., there was a mix of wind and rain. Xiangjiang Causeway Bay Correctional Institution. Dark clouds are pressing down and rainstorm is pouring down. In a red taxi, 3 men stared intently at the rusty iron door in the rain and mist, reluctant to blink. According to our news, Tropical Cyclone Ellen is about to arrive in Hong Kong tonight, and Signal Number 10 has issued a strong warning. The Royal Hong Kong Meteorological Observatory. ZZ. On the passenger seat of the Red Chicken, a cold and stern man with a round-inch head picked up a healthy brand cigarette lying horizontally in front of the car window, shook his hand, and the cigarette was firmly held in his mouth. He pressed the lighter a few times before lighting it, and his slender eyes flashed a hint of impatience. When will he be released from prison? Almost. The thin and short man in the back seat stared out the window without looking back. It's been 4 years. The fat guy with curly hair permed in a floral shirt tightly grasped the steering wheel with his hands, his eyes turning red, and murmured, "Anyway. Just come back." Humph. The round-inch man snorted coldly and glared at the fat guy in frustration. He cursed softly, "Let you find, a pingji, you a shabby red chicken. What did you think? The big shot is released from prison, you drive a taxi to catch the wind, you hit the street. Learn, 5 lucky stars. It's a shame you didn't drive a bus." The round-inch man's words made the chubby guy with half a long perm and a floral shirt look embarrassed, but he reluctantly defended himself. "My East brother. Do you think I don't want to find a luxury car? It's difficult. You don't know the current market situation in Causeway Bay, no one likes it, the policy is tight, and I don't want to be so shabby." After complaining with a mournful expression, the curly-haired chubby guy couldn't help but mutter and curse softly, a group of street thugs, all ungrateful, forgetting who brought them out to make money. Without Zhuge, they could have such authority. Back then. There was a moment of silence in the car, memories had already begun to take shape. I am most afraid of the sudden stillness of the air, and a word of disagreement will bring back memories. In 1982, 4 years ago, Xiangjiang. Like wind and rain, lightning and thunder. The typhoon that arrived in Hong Kong was not called Ellen, but Queen. The dim and dilapidated alley, under the dim and yellowed streetlights, lay upside down, with a mournful scene everywhere. Cold rain and strong winds, the moonlit night is icy cold. The round-inch man was supported by a thin and short man, with a pair of slender red phoenix eyes that were hard to conceal and covered in blood. "Boss, run quickly. No mistake, Zhuge, hurry up. I'll carry it." The curly-haired chubby guy's face was dripping with water and his face was full of eagerness. It's unclear whether it's sweat or rain. Under the dim yellow light, the tall man stood steadily and fiercely like a slender spear, standing straight and upright. Has a strong physique, wide shoulders and narrow waist, and slender legs. Obviously, it belongs to the type that appears thin when dressed and has flesh when undressed. The man swung his half-long hair, and the water droplets scattered everywhere, showcasing handsome facial features. English eyebrows and starry eyes, with a straight nose and red lips. His eyes rippled as he looked at the 3 brothers in front of him. Seeing their eager gaze, he grinned and revealed 8 bright white teeth. Rainwater mixed with blood dripped down the tip of the knife in my hand. Surrounded by more than 10 people, lying on the ground in all directions, howling and groaning in pain. It was a mess. Big shot. Zudge. Sensing the thoughts of the big shot, all three of them exclaimed in shock. Punk the street. Everyone who sees enough to go on vacation in the ancestral hall is coming to compete with the big shots. How about it, don't you need any work? The three of them were just about to come forward. The tall man glared and pointed his knife at the three of them, snorting coldly without anger. Looking at the three people across from him hesitating to speak, a complex and pleased expression flashed in the tall man's eyes, and in the end, only determination remained in his eyes. The rain is getting heavier and the wind is getting stronger. The neon signs around were broken and rested, and the strong wind was swirling with water droplets hitting his face. The man turned his back to the three of them, waved his hand, and walked out of the alley with his feet on the water droplets. That night, Adong, Feicheng, and Nahui watched helplessly as the big shot surrendered. Then he gritted his teeth and couldn't distinguish whether it was rain or tears flowing down his cheeks. With the time that the big shot had fought for, he fled in embarrassment. The man had just stepped out of the alley when the glaring lights came straight in. Schwa. A dozen or so, .38 pointed at him, the poor guy was loaded with bullets, and the police lights kept flashing. Military PTUs are on high alert. Several assault vehicles are particularly eye-catching. Sir, don't you need to wield your sword and gun like this? I'm from the head, and I'm afraid I'll be scared to throw shit and pee in such an exaggerated battle. The man looked at the nervous guy in front of him and let go with a grin. Clash. The machete in hand hit the ground, splashing water. Scared. A young poor man became nervous and stumbled and fell to the ground, accidentally throwing his gun in front of Wu Xiaozu. Schwa. More than a dozen guns that were originally hanging down were all aimed at Wu Xiaozu. Wu Xiaozu, who originally had a concave shape and a grin, suddenly froze, his scalp tingling with cold air. The scene is about to explode. Don't move. The bad guys stared nervously at the prisoner in front of them. Hold your head in both hands, squat down. Hurry up. Squat down. Damn it. Don't move around. Okay. Okay. Don't be nervous, sir. What I'm throwing is just evidence of the crime, don't get excited. I'm a good citizen. Wu Xiaozu ignored the .38 at his feet, holding his head with both hands and crouching down, not daring to make any extra moves. He behaved obediently like Teddy who was punished for standing. At the same time, Wu Xiaozu cursed in his heart. Lose your mother. I wish I could kick away the short dog at my feet, but I dare not move around, afraid that a bad one might cause panic and I might just be reborn and die. Then he was instantly shot from Tai Hao to Death Kuan. Seeing the suspect cooperating very well, the guards breathed a clear sigh of relief and surrounded them all. At the same time, experienced old guards quickly kicked their guns to the side. This is indeed a bit exciting. Even the old and poor people are sweating in secret. It's just a job, why is it so thrilling and exciting? No one wants to be Qinjiaju, after all, no one here is called Fong Shilong. Sir, can you stop being so thrilling? I'm afraid I'll be beaten into a sieve. Wu Xiaozu looked up at the young and clumsy police officer and said, Sir, if you go to the police station and get a toothpick, it's very impressive. Why bother getting a police gun? Everyone's job is so hard. The clumsy police officer's face was uncertain and embarrassed when he said this. But the rest of us sir beside him thought so. With his words falling, Wu Xiaozu was directly pinned to the ground by the other party, rough and malicious. His face was fiercely pressed against the rain, his eyes silently closed, without struggling or resisting. Some just feel relieved. Rebirth, the beginning of the story has changed. So what about the next life? The police have charged more than 10 charges, including intentional homicide, suspected involvement in triad activities, obstruction of official duties, illegal smuggling, money laundering, etc. Fortunately, the victim was rescued by the hospital, and there was insufficient evidence for multiple other serious charges. In the end, the court could only choose a few of them, which were painless and itch-free, to sentence him, and he was imprisoned for 52 months. A full 4 years and 4 months. It has to be said that Hong Kong Island is good for this. There is no death penalty, and when encountering events such as the Queen's birthday, the sentence will always be reduced. Therefore, the sentence is reduced by 4 months. 4 years in custody. August 18, 1986. In the dark hallway of the Causeway Bay Correctional Center, a man wearing a brown summer uniform greets his fellow inmates holding a cardboard box with a smile as they support the railing on both sides. Quan Bo, today I am released from prison. Brother Huanxi, let's play chess together another day, and I promise to kill you without leaving a trace. Wu Xiaozu laughed and bickered with the prisoners on both sides. These were all prison friends who had been together for 4 years day and night. Although they could not be considered as like-minded, they could still be considered as suffering together. Azu, don't be so talkative. Remember to go back. Ba, forget it, still don't come back. Zuzi, don't look back, it's unlucky. Pujiazu, even if you have kidney deficiency, I won't have kidney deficiency. Eat your big-headed ghost egg. Pick that star. You go eat shit first. Everyone bid farewell to Wu Xiaozu one after another, laughing, cursing, admonishing, and speaking derogatory words. There is a foundation inside the prison. Tian Tian Mian Ji naturally creates a harmonious relationship. Except for not picking up soap. Bang 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 bang. The railing was knocked on, and Wu Xiaozu paused before laughing. How many confidants do you have in this world? How many friendships can last forever? Today we bid farewell and shake hands with both of you. Friendship is always in our hearts. Today is a temporary farewell. He will definitely gather in the morning, even if we cannot meet, always a friend. Gradually, the voices merged, tapping lightly on the iron railing and moving to the rhythm of the sound. The one who has experienced vicissitudes is Quan Bo, the one who is moderate and peaceful is Huan Shigo, the one who is sharp and high is CC Go, the one who is passionate and roaring is Huanyo Go from the number gang, the one who breaks the gong and howls loudly is Ai Hui who came in for robbery, as well as Tun Mun A Bing, Dongguan Zai, Hua Gu Long, Ko Shui Hua, Hao saying there are thousands of miles of mountains, blocking the distance between two places, no need to meet, I also know in my heart, friendship cannot be changed. Wu Xiaozu glanced lightly at the white paper and red-letter calendar hanging diagonally above. On August 18, 1986, it was the 13th day of the 7th lunar month in the year of the tiger. Suitable for driving horses, booking alliances, bathing, and meeting with family and friends. Avoid opening markets, offering sacrifices, burials, funerals, and combining longevity trees. In 1982, he was imprisoned in the Great Ancestral Hall. Stanley Prison was full. The Hong Kong British government was afraid of another 73-year Stanley Prison riot, and the Correctional Services Department of the Security Bureau began to divert prisoners. Wu Xiaozu was very lucky and was assigned to the moderately fortified Causeway Bay Correctional Center. This song, The Light of Friendship, was organized by Wu Xiaozu to rehearse with fellow inmates during the 1984 celebration, and has since become the prison song of the Causeway Bay Correctional Center. It is the movie Prison Storm, directed by Lin Lingdong and starring Liang Zaifa from the previous generation. Prisons and songs go well together. When released from prison, a song must be selected. Wu Xiaozu didn't look back and hummed softly. Step out of the prison area and follow the prison guards to complete the release procedures. Behind me could still vaguely hear the high voice of The Light of Friendship, causing the inmates to go crazy. I heard prison guards hitting the railing with batons to warn and threaten again. Eating one. After completing the procedures for release from prison, a middle-aged police officer in neat and tidy uniform walked towards him. "Be careful when you go out, don't come back." Seeing that Wu Xiaozu didn't refuse, he lit a cigarette with a lighter and whispered in his ear, "It's said that the wind and rain outside tonight are so loud, and the streets are so chaotic. Be careful not to get caught in the wind and cold. After being released from prison, you ended up in the hospital." "Oh. Thank you for sir's concern." Wu Xiaozu suddenly smiled with a look of relief. "Fortunately, I called my subordinates and asked them to find a car to pick me up. I wouldn't be afraid of wind and rain in most cases. Besides, sir, I've been reading books and newspapers the most for the past 4 years. I don't understand any sound of wind and rain, but I understand the sound of reading very well." The middle-aged prison guard looked up and down at Wu Xiaozu, raised his eyebrows, and his eyes were sharp. "Then I wish you a bright future, Mr. Wu." Wu Xiaozu smiled brightly and held the other person's hand, fully accepting his blessings. "You too, sir." Passing by in the wrong direction, Wu Xiaozu suddenly put away his smile on his face, picked up his luggage on the ground, and with a flick of his hand, his cigarette butt flew out in an arc, accurately landing in the nearby trash can. Prison guards. Wu Xiaozu, who was far away, curled his lips and thought he was an idiot. "I eat my brain, sir." In the past 4 years, Wu Xiaozu has never seen a prison guard whose shirt is even neatly fastened with a buckle, attending a funeral. Also, which prison guard has such obvious calluses on their fingers? Do you consider yourself Zhou Gongjin? Convex. Thinking of this, Wu Xiaozu raised his middle finger in his heart and let out a sigh of relief. "Are you blaming me for not being liked by the teacher despite being a good boy?" Shrugged his shoulders. "Of course, choose to forgive him." As Wu Xiaozu walked into the rain holding a black umbrella, the middle-aged police officer's gaze flickered and he took a puff of smoke. "Ah Zhong, I have shown you his information and he has behaved very well. He is the first prisoner who's self-taught to take the night school entrance exam in the temple since the opening of Xiangjiang port. No one here disagrees with him. Over the years, he has read books, newspapers, and even helped us apply to the police and welfare department for pension and benefits. When have you seen a prisoner help us like this?" The warden of the correctional center walked up to the middle-aged police officer and patted the old man on the shoulder. "Give the young boy a chance, as the old saying goes, a prodigal boy will not exchange his money. There's an old saying that goes dogs can't change their diet. Chen Bingzhong withdrew his gaze, relaxed his tone, and said disapprovingly, "Of course, I have always advocated giving young people the opportunity to reform. I don't know you yet." The warden clearly knew his buddy and shook his head. "I really don't understand why your CIB has been staring at Azu and not letting go. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let me talk to you, I'm optimistic about a horse lately. Time is the best teacher, but unfortunately, teachers are hooligans." To be honest, Wu Xiaozu regretted his 4 years in prison. "I also imagine that if I hadn't surrendered, it would have been a different situation. Perhaps one can run away with the knowledge of their previous life. And then a typhoon has arrived, drowning in the open sea. Who knows?" Many times, Wu Xiaozu told himself that life is like a chess game, where there is no regret in playing. But who can truly have no regrets? But the most interesting thing about people is this. Life without regrets is a case of anger. How boring is life without regrets? Going right or wrong, without regret or regret, is the path you have chosen. Having a choice is the greatest luck. In the memory of this lifetime, Wu Xiaozu opened the incense hall at the age of 18, planted flags for the club in Causeway Bay, and frantically expressed surprise. He called the old leader and the big shot overnight to request a late-night snack together. That night, there was a rumor in the martial arts world that as long as the Wu Xiaozu sign fell down, he could receive 500,000 flower bonuses, but no one dared to bring a sword and take the flower bonuses from the ancient troublemaker across from him. Stirring the wind and rain, it directly hit Causeway Bay, and the poor guy was forced to invite him and other bigwigs to have tea together and divide the benefits. Struggling up the banner, hailed as a new force in the martial arts world. At this point, the signboard of Wu Xiaozu became brighter and brighter as it was rubbed, almost scorching hot. Looking back at his path to fame, Wu Xiaozu felt that it was a legendary life in the field of ancient scholars. More than the Chen Haonan Nyobi who also mixed with Causeway Bay in the later ancient puzzle. However, using the lines from Wu Yuan Su Chier may be more accurate in interpretation. You will definitely become the hegemon among beggars. What is that? Still a beggar. So, if you come out to mess around, you'll have to pay it back sooner or later. At the age of 19, the tycoon Qiu Gu was framed by his enemy, and Wu Xiaozu alone protected the tycoon's wife and daughter at the entrance of the court with a knife. To avenge the big shot, he led his henchmen to sweep from the street to the end of the street, from inside to outside, and chased his enemy 3 streets with a knife. Wu Xiaozu was reborn at the moment when he swung his last sword. I hit a stick on my head, causing a faint pain, and memories of 2 lifetimes intertwined. I can't distinguish whether I am Wu Xiaozu from my past life or this life. It may be a combination of contradictions. Finally, emotional fusion and emotional intersection. Some things require courage to choose. Fortunately, both emotionally and rationally, he was told that choice is greater than avoidance. Even if he escapes, he, as a fellow traitor, has taken photos before, and the Causeway Bay shoulder, who cuts people in front of the police may not escape punishment. It's better to let the 3 brothers who haven't met leave and fight alone. Great, when he was struggling, the piercing alarm also prevented his luck. When he walked out of the alley, the poor guy's battle also proved his judgment. Emotionally, he cannot let his brothers bear the blame for him. That is Wu Xiaozu's persistence and loyalty on the road of the world. Rationally, he could not fall under the charge of fearing guilt and absconding, embarking on illegal immigration and leaving Hong Kong. This was the analysis and struggle of the previous generation of Wu Xiaozu. So when he was pinned to the ground by the police, he felt relieved. The easiest thing is not to avoid, but to be able to face the choice directly. Even if this choice may seem foolish to some people. So we should be grateful that even fools have a choice, better than not having a choice. On August 18, 1982, he was imprisoned in the wind and rain. New book seeking recommendation ticket and collection. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Brothers, Forever Brothers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Brothers, Forever Brothers. On August 18, 1986, he was released from prison in the wind and rain. The rain is pouring heavily, with lightning and thunder roaring. Wu Xiaozu held a black umbrella and stepped out of the iron gate where he had been imprisoned for 4 years. In the pouring rain, suddenly 3 figures hurriedly rushed out of the taxi across from them, ignoring the rain and rushing towards Wu Xiaozu with excitement and shouting. Big shot. Zuj. Zhu. Zhu Gu. 3 people excitedly rushed towards Wu Xiaozu, huddled together. The umbrella in Wu Xiaozu's hand was also left aside. Looking at each other, the 4 brothers laughed heartily. Punk the street. Wu Xiaozu punched each of the 3 in the chest and cursed with a smile, 3 bastards, come hug me if it's wet. Hurry up and get in the car. After finishing speaking, he ran to the taxi in the rain. Wow. You're so cunning, big shot. The 3 of them were taken aback for a moment, only to realize that they had already turned into drowned chickens and quickly chased after each other. Zuj, let me help you put the trunk. Hurry up and get in the car. Let's go and have a 3 warmths first. Let me tell you, I know there's a shop on Boland Street where the 3 warmths will take you off. Yes, yes. Yes, get in the car, pick up the wind for Zhu. Zhu Gu. Looking at the three big men crying with joy and excitement, their brotherly feelings were overflowing. That year, the four of them burned incense and inserted the furnace, reciting the 36th oath of the Hongmen. From then on, they dared not disobey, and their financial interests did not change their original intentions. Together in adversity, one can better coexist with wealth and prosperity. A brother, a lifelong sibling. I, Wu Xiaozu. I Luo Dong. I'm Li Licheng. I, Su Liao. I hereby swear, the first oath is that after entering Hongmen, your parents will be my parents, your brothers and sisters will be my brothers and sisters, your wife. If you break the oath, I will put an end to it. Today, we are sworn brothers with different surnames, and we will be able to verify this. Four people share the same courage. Can you block the knife for me? I am willing to go to justice for you. Knock your head on the ground, never give up on life or death. Drinking ice for 10 years is difficult to cool hot blood. The brotherhood of men has always been like this. Causeway Bay, Jinyu Manlu Baths. In the sauna, water mist rose, and the plump Fizi Ching held the green grapefruit leaves in his hand, occasionally brushing on Wu Xiaozu's body, muttering profusely about the use of obscure words. The bad luck in the sky has been completely eliminated, and one should not worry about wealth and prosperity. The immortals on the left side ensure safety, while the Buddha on the right side protects health. Bless the big shot for his good kidney and the ability to become a groom night and night. Pak Street. Wu Xiaozu picked up a bucket of water and threw it over, laughing and cursing, "You big shot, I've had no problem 13 times a night." That's right. Back then, no one knew about your reputation, Zuj. I'm not afraid you've been single for the past 4 years. As he spoke, Feiqing leaned behind Wu Xiaozu and flattered him with a smile, "Boss, do you want me to wipe your soap?" Convex. Wu Xiaozu directly gave a middle finger and stood up naked from the pool without responding. Water splashed everywhere, and droplets slid down the muscles. I saw a tattooed dragon coiled on its back, with distinct features and fiery eyes. It was majestic and ferocious, full of domineering aura. At a height of 183 cm, with broad shoulders and narrow waist, the muscles are not exaggerated, but there are streamlined lines like knives and axes. The male dog's waist and buttocks are tight, and his 2 long legs stand there like 2 benchmarks. Wu Xiaozu grabbed a towel, wrapped it around his waist, covered his body, and walked towards the massage room. "Boss, wait for me!" Feiqing quickly shouted. As soon as he stepped out of the pool, the water level in the bathtub immediately dropped significantly. Obviously, this is a man who is holding down the entire bathtub alone, a fat man. Pop 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 pop. Pop 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 pop. The tapping sound was mixed with a soft hum, and the tapping sound was particularly loud. In the massage room, a massage teacher stood by the bed, using familiar techniques to massage Wu Xiaozu's muscles and bones. Take a hot bath in the bathhouse, then find a skilled massage therapist to pinch and tap, refreshing from the outside to the inside, from the soles of the feet to the scalp tingling. After knocking, Luo Dong waved his hand to let the 4 massage masters leave. This is the most authentic way to knock the back master. Feiqing smiled and turned over to take a pack of cigarettes and distribute them to the 3 of them. Every time I squeeze them, I feel like I'm dying. It's just that every time I finish squeezing them, I can't help but wake up at night. Getting up at night in the middle of the night is purely due to poor kidney function. Massage doesn't help, said Luo Donggum with a straight knife. Diao. Are you saying my kidney is not good? Feiqing instantly felt like a fat cat with its tail being trampled on and its fur exploding. With a red neck, he defended himself. Let me tell you, I'm nicknamed Diamond. Do you understand the meaning of not taking care of porcelain without diamond? You can tell me I'm not pretty enough. Tell me my kidney is not good, I won't even recognize it if I die. The hard one is called kidney stones. Luo Dong gave Feiqing a disdainful glance and said, "Drink plenty of water, jump up the stairs, maybe the stones will come out." Convex. Feiqing forcefully raised his middle finger towards Luo Dong. "Huh, Brother Cheng. I know many male doctors. Do you want me to introduce you to them?" Su Liao laughed and patted his noticeably thin ribs on the chest. The 2 rows of ribs were clearly rooted, bow bow. "I promise to cure you with medicine. You're alive and well. Get out of here. Do I need to find a doctor?" The chubby hands, with an awkward expression, rubbed and felt lingering palpitations. I was wondering if I would really go back and make up for it. The nightlife is too rich, and the nutrition is clearly not keeping up. Oh my, thinking about how fast time flies, I forgot when I first came. I only remember that I came with Brother Chiu for the first time. Feiqing quickly shifted the topic of his kidney stones and kidney deficiency. 76 years, Luo Dong firmly said. Wow, 10 years. Feiqing's eyes widened in surprise, unable to believe it had been so long. 10 years, Brother Chiu. Wu Xiaozu spat out a cigarette ring and looked at Su Liao, asking, "What do Sister.in.law and others do now?" When Zuj arranged for Mrs. Chiu and her child to go to Australia for the Chinese New Year, I would write letters to greet her. Mrs. Chiu and her child. They were living very comfortably. Mrs. Chiu and her child were living a worry-free life there, Su Liao answered seriously, holding up his glasses. Wu Xiaozu nodded. When the incident occurred suddenly and the situation was tragic, the big shot Chiu Gu was framed by his enemy. I hurriedly arranged for the wealthy family to immigrate to Australia. The big shots have a lot of inheritance, and I also handed over the floating wealth that I have been living with for many years to them to buy a property in Australia. It's been 4 years in a blink of an eye. Chiu Gu is the leader of Wu Xiaozu, known as Big Head Chiu in the martial arts world. A Chaos Han hot pot restaurant in Causeway Bay. The hot pot is steaming hot, and the old soup made from beef spine keeps rolling and bubbling. The muddy white soup bottom is paired with simple scallions, ginger, and garlic, with a fragrant aroma that makes the mouth and tongue salivate. The rain outside the door is pouring heavily, while the inside is scorching hot. Chaos Han Hot Pot emphasizes selling it on the spot. The beef is cut as thin as cicada wings, sticking to the plate and standing upright without falling off. Put it in a hot soup pot for no more than 3 seconds. Dip it in a dipping bowl, it will be tender, smooth, fragrant, and delicious, providing top-notch enjoyment. In the world of hot pot, dipping is definitely the finishing touch. Sichuan pot emphasizes oil plate dry powder, while Imperial Copper pot is made of sesame sauce and leek flowers. Chaos Han Hot Pot is unique, with a combination of san-tea sauce and chili oil, making it delicious and rich in flavor. The wind and rain are strong, making a stove by the side is the best. Fat Cheng was holding hot pot meat, gasping and sweating while eating. Zuj, I respect you. Luo Dong was shirtless on his upper body, his dark muscles stained with a layer of fine sweat beads, and behind him was a majestic Guangdong with half-squinted phoenix eyes, lifelike and intimidating. As the saying goes, when Guangdong opens his eyes, he wraps them around him and kills without blinking his eyes. Ha! A cup of bamboo leaf green poured down my throat, and suddenly a stream of heat rushed from my stomach to my whole body. The whole body was like a furnace, hot and slightly red. Wu Xiaozu comfortably wiped his inch head with both hands and let out a low shout of satisfaction. After 4 years, I finally look forward to seeing you, big shot. Luo Dong filled his glass, picked it up and stopped in mid-air, with a stern expression on his face, saying, Zuj, you shouldered the burden together. Now it's time to collect interest. New works, seeking collection and recommendation. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Always urging people to die in the martial arts world, talking about numbers but not gratitude. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 3. Always urging people to die in the martial arts world, talking about numbers but not gratitude, seeking recommended tickets and collections. No mistake. Fatty as he slapped the table, his flesh trembled uncontrollably, and the big belly Maitreya tattooed on his chest came to life. We can't just forget about what happened back then. Unless. What do you want? Carry a knife and go all over the street to open a movie. Or throw gas canisters at nightclubs and learn from others to set off fireworks. Wu Xiaozu glared angrily and snorted coldly. Boss, if you say, tiger returns to the forest, I don't believe those demons and monsters dare to jump out and gossip. Luo Dong's gaze turned cold and his sharp light flickered. A group of miscellaneous people, who dares to provoke trouble. I don't mind using their blood sacrifice flag. Back then, we could hold the flag in Causeway Bay without collapsing, and today we can do the same. People block killing, Buddha block killing. Jianghu affairs, Jianghu. Revenge. Debt repayment. No one has anything to say. Luodong Danfeng narrowed his eyes, their eyes red and filled with a fierce and violent aura. His original handsome appearance suddenly became as fierce and terrifying as the living Shura. If there's a weakling who doesn't accept it. I've sharpened my knife for 4 years, it won't bleed, it won't be collected. The cold voice was like a north wind, piercing the bone and piercing the heart. It made the meat-cutting and cooking masters on the side tremble with fear and hide to the side, afraid to look up and pay attention. Feiqing nodded and said to him, the little horse in The True Nature of Heroes said, I've been waiting for 4 years, just to wait for an opportunity. I want to fight for a breath. I'm not trying to prove how great I am, I just want to tell them that what I lost must be taken back. I really like this passage. Zuj, we've been waiting for 4 years, just waiting for this opportunity. You take us and start over. Feiqing looked excitedly at Wu Xiaozu. That's right, The True Story of Heroes was at its peak in 1986. White Pigeon Wu, who rushed back from the bay after burning his boat, and Uncle D Long, who brought in the declining sun, joined hands to create a phenomenal and popular IP classic in the Xiangjiang film industry. They had always wanted to challenge the big screen from a small screen, but they made a hit in the street. The melancholic and disillusioned handsome guy, coupled with Zhang Gui, who happened to be in the transition period and was in charge of traffic, created a phenomenal and popular IP classic. The dark horse of The True Nature of Heroes went black and turned the entire summer season upside down, and even knocked out giants such as Jiahe, Shaw Brothers, and New Art City. Su Ke's film studio directly transforms into a concave convex man, and the unstoppable power of Piu, and Piu. Shi Tian, who caused harm, came over and urged him to shoot the second part quickly. After its release, Poison Hair instantly transformed into Immortal Hair, and Xiaoma Go became the idol worshipped by all men in Xiangjiang, becoming a new generation of on-screen male gods. The same windbreaker sold out. In future generations, there will be another popular Taobao product. Uncle Dilong regained his radiance, feeling like he was back in the old one-armed knife. Brother Guorong also shed his idle burden and made a magnificent turn of strength. Let people know. Oh, it turns out that Leslie Chung can also act. Wu Xiaozu did not expect that this film would have such a profound impact on guys like Feiqing. There is a strong urge for Pony Brother to possess it. Do you want to exaggerate like this? In addition to roast, Wu Xiaozu could only smile bitterly in his heart. Do you really want to join a club after being reborn for a lifetime? Even a talented figure like Pony was almost turned into a bikini by someone smashing his windbreaker, causing his head to break, his legs to break, and his ribs to break. Movies are like this, let alone real life. Watching Luo Dong and Feiqing feel excited and unwilling, Wu Xiaozu took a deep breath and slowed down his voice. The liver fire is too strong, and the alcohol smell harms the liver. Let's drink tea instead. He waved and called for the waiter to serve tea. Feiqing remained silent, while Luo Dong leaned back. Hee, after eating hot pot and drinking tea, the boss explained it clearly. It seems that I should also drink less alcohol and more tea. Seeing the situation becoming more awkward, Su Liao quickly made up his mind and said, "It's been a long time since I drank the tea brewed by the big shot. I have some good luck today. Take it seriously." Wu Xiaozu took the purple clay teapot and Guangdong toured the city. The teacup was pushed in front of the three people, and Su Liao quickly picked up the teacup with a lingering expression. Zudge. The remaining two goods look so lifeless. Comparable to the angry little Yu. Drinking tea. Feiqing and Luo Dong hesitated for a moment, but reluctantly picked up their teacups and drank from cows. Husheng sitting in the hall, Brother Lu has arrived at the station. Now, with the wind and clouds surging, all kinds of ghosts, snakes, and gods appearing in pink, the scene is incredibly joyful. Wu Xiaozu took a sip of tea and raised his eyebrows. "Do you really think I don't know your little carelessness? Boss, you were the one who contributed the most to the club back then. If it weren't for Brother Chio's accident, it's impossible to say who his name was. When Brother Chio was killed, everyone in our hometown didn't dare to speak up. If it weren't for you standing up, the plaque of He Sheng would have collapsed long ago. Which round of success would have been obtained now?" Feiqing said urgently. "Damn it. Can I stand idly by when the big shot is killed? If I don't stand up, should I go to the governor's office to file a lawsuit? Choosing to sit down now is none of my business. Don't forget, I got out of pocket 4 years ago. Zudge, but this is what they owe you. The rivers and lakes talk about kindness." Wu Xiaozu's face turned straight, and he glanced at the three of them with a slightly cold gaze. "Husheng is not the same as Husheng 4 years ago. You and I are also not the same as you and I were 4 years ago. When I go back now, who will give me the fat from the bowl? Which one do you want me to step on? In the club, new members need to ascend, and the elderly want more benefits. They all have to fight with blood, exchange with life. The saying goes, once you achieve success, all bones will wither. Are you really playing the game like a child? The two characters of Jianghu, one horizontal and one vertical, the winner takes all, the loser dies, there is no other way. After joining the club, I have to fight my life every day, only talking about numbers, not gratitude. What can I do when I go back? Seize classes and seize power. Or is it a bloody scene? Children are so naive that they think they can reconcile. Please use your brains. Please." Then he pointed out the storm outside the window. "Let's talk about tonight. I don't know how many more lonely graves will be added on the roadside, and how many families will be separated. Who would be willing to take the lead? The martial arts world is a deadly sword. The sword is deadly, and neither dies nor dies. I finally faded out of the martial arts world in 4 years. Do we have to step onto this path of no return today just to win a street fight? You're so sharp, please teach me." Wu Xiaozu's words left Luo Dong and Feiqing speechless. Seeing that the two were speechless, he also breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Why look for a sunset job during the hottest decade in Xinjiang? These words, Wu Xiaozu, can truly be said to be heart to heart. I came out to work at the age of 11 and climbed out of Kun Tong Estate step by step. At 16, I became a popular figure and leader of the club. At 17, I started my career, and at 18, I set up a church entrance and entered Causeway Bay, where I recruited and set up my own staff. How imposing and closed. Everyone calls me the new king of the martial arts world. But who knew that the group of Kun Tong kids who followed me out of Kun Tong collapsed next to me one by one. My new king's path was paved by the brothers beside me with their corpses and lives. In 1977, Abio was chopped up by his enemies and directly fed to sharks. I can't even bury my brother for safety. Only his old clothes can be found for burial. Is this the big shot in the martial arts world? Xiao Shilao, Ah Jin, and Fei Zai were set off with fireworks by their enemies while watching the show. They exploded like blood gourds, completely unrecognizable, and Ah Jin's intestines flowed all over the ground, unable to be stuffed back. Also, back then, in order to raise a flag in Causeway Bay, Ming Zai was stabbed more than 30 times by Xing Yi's men, and he bled a bucket. I was holding him in the hospital. How would I want to hear him smile and call me big shot again? This is his mother Jianghu. Everyone says that I am bold and meticulous, and the lecture notes are full of brotherhood. Call me a big shot. But no one knows, I haven't had the courage to go back to Kun Tong for so many years. I'm a big shot with a bad heart. I'm afraid someone will ask me when I go back. When you led a group of brothers out of Kun Tong, why did all of them die, leaving you, the big shot, living so peacefully? We have agreed to share wealth and prosperity, share hardships, and enjoy the same prosperity together. Wu Xiaozu choked up and couldn't swallow, tears unconsciously slipping into the corners of his eyes. The three fell into silence, with a heavy atmosphere. Come out. Mess around, it's going to be delayed. It's going to be returned sooner or later. The big shot is right, it's not easy to escape, it's too bad to go back like this. Su Liao muttered to herself with her eyes low, bitter and hard to hide. I am very lucky to be able to walk to where I am today. My brothers from back then collapsed on the road one by one. Jianghu Road. Every inch of blood and every inch of corpses. So what about sitting in a restaurant? Xiaogu didn't end up. Zurich Yao raised his head and looked at Luo Dong with a tattoo of Guangdong tattooed on his back. His gaze was sorrowful and he said, although the black society worships Guan Eryi. No one wants to be Guan Eryi anymore. Everyone seeks wealth but justice, and no one speaks of morality. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been 4 years without anyone studying Zuj. Instead of risking one's life to secure a place, it's better to use one's life to settle down for the deceased brother. There was a moment of silence on the table. Only seeing the scenery in front of the big shots, how many bones have fallen on this scenic road. At this moment, Luo Dong and Fei Cheng had nothing to say. How are Abeo, Mingzai and their families doing now? Wu Xiaozu's throat was hoarse as if scraping with a knife. I have been sending money to their family for the past 4 years, Fei Cheng gritted his teeth and paused for a moment. Zuj, after you enter the prison, the 3 of us will follow your instructions, not wander in the martial arts world, not ask right or wrong, and hide in that Dragon City ice room to make a living. We can barely help their family. Boss, I'm sorry. Luo Dong, who has always been cold, also had a guilty look in his eyes. I feel guilty for Wu Xiaozu's painstaking arrangements, and even more so for my deceased brothers who did not take good care of their families. It's not your fault. Wu Xiaozu raised his hand to stop Luo Dong from blaming himself, patted Luo Dong's shoulder, and fiercely poked his chest with his fingers. It's my fault, this big shot, that's useless. Do you 3 still remember the 36 oaths of Hongmen? The first oath is that since entering the Hongmen gate, your parents have been my parents, your siblings have been my siblings, your wife is my sister. In law, and your nephew is my nephew. If you do not follow this rule and do not recite this sentiment, it will be a breach of oath, and the 5 thunders will be extinguished. Luo Dong remained steadfast and spoke loudly. The second oath. If there are parents and brothers who will return to life for 100 years without any silver burial, or if there are people who fly to seek help from their brothers, it is necessary to notify all brothers. If there are many who help, they will have no money to contribute to complete their work. If there are any fraudulent activities that are unknown, the 5 thunders will be executed. Fei Cheng solemnly continued. The 19th oath. If a brother is caught by the government or goes out for a long time, he cannot go back home. Therefore, he goes away without any sound, leaving his wife, children, and no one to rely on. He must pay attention to help and grow up to become a person. If there is any fraud that he does not know, he will be killed by the 5 thunders. Su Liao recited it neatly. The 4 of them had low voices and recited together. When entering the gate of the flood, loyalty and righteousness must be given priority, just like the bond of one hand and one foot, and one cannot be separated from another. If there are 2 hearts that do not exert their strength, they will die at the hands of Wan, Dao, Ji, and Xia. Back then, when Wu Xiaozu entered the profession, a group of 7 or 8 people knelt in front of Guaneri, holding incense sticks and reciting oaths. Their youthful faces were filled with longing. For those who wear our robes, we share blessings and difficulties, shining the sun and moon, and appreciating our hearts together. Gold, silver, wealth, and silk do not fall into brotherly bonds. The slander of a petty person cannot be separated from the burden of the robe. High mountains can be anticipated, deep seas can be waited for, sharing the same robe as my son, never changing my original intention. If you have 2 hearts and a committee oath, you will die under 10,000 swords, whip the corpse and dig the grave. P.S. Drinking ice for 10 years is difficult to cool hot blood. A heart of panic is like walking on thin ice. Hope to collect and recommend ticket support. P.S. Drinking ice for 10 years is difficult to cool and warm blood. A panicked heart is like walking on thin ice. Hope to collect and recommend tickets. Hope for support. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Gourmet Girl, I Love It. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Gourmet Girl, I Love It. P.S. Seeking recommended tickets and collections. The door was pushed open, and a cold wind mixed with rain blew in. Wow! Jianghu Chorus. Are you still going to shoot Heroes of Nature 2? Are you playing with brotherhood? A man led 2 attendants, one chubby and one skinny, into the room. The attendants behind him were holding umbrellas, holding a handful of melon seeds in his hand and enjoying themselves. When I saw Wu Xiaozu and his group, there were a few playful expressions on their faces. Zuj, don't say hello when you come out, otherwise I will definitely give you a big red envelope to congratulate you. After speaking, he pointed at Wu Xiaozu towards the 2 attendants behind him with great humility. Do you know Zhu Gu? Big shot Zhu, with a red stick at the beginning, used to hit more than 10 at a time. He was called the Causeway Bay Tiger. But now... Pooh! The man spat out melon seed skin on the ground, grabbed a chair casually, and sat in front of Wu Xiaozu with a sneer, showing his sarcastic expression. Take your mother in your mouth. Fei Ching angrily picked up the wine bottle. Children, don't be so hot-tempered. With a bang, he slammed the 38-inch and police ID card onto the wooden table, leaned forward and raised his eyebrows. What's up? You want to attack the police? Sir is joking. As good citizens, who would have the courage to attack a police officer? Even De Quanzi doesn't make such a big fuss. He's blind and has eyes that don't recognize the true gods. Holding on to Fei Ching's arm, Wu Xiaozu glanced at the 38-inch and police officer's ID on the table and smiled lightly. Is Qian, sir? What's bothering me? It's not like using a police gun, is it so exaggerated? Should I take out my ID to verify it for you? Of course not. Zhu Gu, you are a good citizen, so of course I believe you. Qian Jiahao smiled and leaned into Wu Xiaozu's ear. Brother Zhu, your reputation is even better than that of the governor of Hong Kong. As you know, it's windy and heavy tonight, and even the chief of police is working overtime. Naturally, we on duty cannot leave work. I have to come and pay you a visit in person. Is it illegal to beat the stove? Fei Ching glared angrily. Qian Jiahao didn't respond and looked at Wu Xiaozu with a smile. Do you like Zhu Gu? He said without waiting for Wu Xiaozu's answer. He casually took his chopsticks and used his hand to roll them, then greeted the waiter and served a few plates of beef, indulging in a feast. At this moment, the thin-faced plainclothes police officer behind him pulled out a stack of documents and gave a cold, paralyzed smile. Luo Dong, nicknamed Assassin Dong, was born in 1964 at the age of 22. He was previously a member of Shenghong Stick and has participated in multiple events. Li Licheng, also known as Fizaking, is 22 years old and a member of a triad gang. She is suspected of participating in triad organizations and criminal activities. Su Liao, 22 years old, nicknamed Mo Su. Schwa. Slim-faced plainclothes snorted coldly, and 3 documents were thrown onto the table, scattered all over the ground. Do you want me to continue reading them to you? Good citizens. Pick. Why don't you go eat shit instead? Xian sir, your buddy is quite angry. Wu Xiaozu slowly picked up the paper on the table and played with it with a smile. Whether you're angry or not, of course it depends on you, Zuj. I wonder if Zuj is willing to show his respect. Xian Jiahao didn't lift his head and continued to suck on the meat slices. It's safe and stable, just hello, everyone, naturally there won't be any anger. On the contrary. Hee. It goes without saying. Wu Xiaozu looked at Xian Jiahao, who was still eating hot pot with his head buried in front of him. I sighed inwardly. To cross the frozen river of the Yellow River, I will climb the snowy mountains of the Taihang Mountains. As soon as you enter the martial arts world, you cannot help yourself. The person who made a mistake, everyone looks at you with colored eyes, and it's difficult to change. I, a once-out-of-the-world tycoon, have been released from prison, and even the bad guys are queuing up to greet me. Do you really treat me like Iron Man? Do you, the American captains, come and take turns beating each other? Wu Xiaozu picked up the paper boat he had folded and was very satisfied. Align the bow of the boat and safely put the paper boat into the hot pot soup. I like seductive women, but I don't understand how to help others vent their anger. Why don't you take your guys to Bolan Street for a walk, Qian sir? Pak Street. Do you know who you're talking to? Fat-faced plainclothes pointed out and cursed. I'll grab your mother. Do you know who you're talking to? Luo Dongshua stood up and coldly slapped the hand pointed at by the other person. How's it going? What's so amazing about the poor guy? Feicheng disdains hard criticism and looks directly at the bad guys. Su Liao also stood up and looked coldly at the 3 poor guys. Watching the paper boat being boiled away by boiling water, contaminating a pot of soup. Xian Jiahao's chopsticks are frozen. Pop. Xian Jiahao's face was uncertain, and he coldly scanned towards Wu Xiaozu. The cold voice of a Yin vulture squeezed out between his teeth, saying, don't give me face, don't give me face. I want to drink soup, no one dares not give it. Wu Xiaozu put away his smiling face, pointed to the revolver and identification on the table, and said, don't think I'm afraid of this either. If you want to drink soup, you can do it. You can cook it yourself. I don't want anyone to interfere with my soup, so I know Xiangjiang is a law-abiding country. Why don't I have to recite Lao Lian's phone to you? Diao. Use the ICAC to scare me. Alright. You want to play, right? I'll play with you. Xian Jiahao snorted coldly and waved to the 2 police officers behind him, pointing his fingers at Wu Xiaozu and the 4 others, saying, I suspect these 4 street-fighting illegal gatherings and engaging in illegal activities of the triad. Take them back to Aji for the night, and ask Zuj to taste our Aji coffee. Okay, I heard that drinking coffee is more suitable on rainy days. I haven't had Aji's coffee for many years, I wonder if it's authentic enough. After speaking, regardless of Qian Jiahao's gloomy and cold face, he wiped his mouth with a tissue and waved to the shop assistant with a smile. Please, pay the bill. I'll buy. The bill, buddy. Bring me the bill and I'll take a look. Su Liao rushed to buy the bill. Remember to bring the meat ordered by Qian Sir to him for reimbursement. Wu Xiaozu smiled at Qian Jiahao and said, otherwise, the ICAC would say I bribed and I'm afraid I can't afford it. What do you think, Qian Sir? Humph. Qian Jiahao snorted coldly, picked up his gun, waved at the two attendants, and walked out first. His gaze was full of malice and malice. Let's go, do you want a sir to hold an umbrella for you? The chubby-faced police officer pushed and said, take it. Hurry up. Sir, Xiangjiang talks about human rights. It's so heavy that it's easy to catch a cold. You push so hard, I'm afraid you won't be able to afford medical expenses if you fall down. Feicheng tilted his head and said loudly. Picket. Will the Black Society talk to me about the law? Sir, don't speak recklessly, be careful not to accuse you of slander, Fei Cheng exclaimed discontentedly. Fatty guy, remember that you're still so arrogant when you enter Aji later. Oh, remember well, I wonder if there are any police sirens calling out to us. Take it. The two lackeys turned black and cursed loudly. Shou Jinghua, do you use Aji as Bolan Street? Let's go. Listen to me, don't be impulsive. Wu Xiaozu pulled Feicheng and advised, be careful. After buying the order, Su Liao secretly whispered a few words to Adong and Feicheng while no one was paying attention. After hearing this, their faces remained unchanged and they blinked slightly. In this way, Zuj, who had been released from prison for less than 5 hours, was brought back to Aji. Police interrogation room. The indoor light illuminated by incandescent lamps is as bright as daylight. Watching Wu Xiaozu frown after taking a sip of coffee, Qian Jiahao walked over with a sly smile, his eyes full of mockery. How about it? Our Aji coffee doesn't meet your taste, Zuj. I specifically asked someone to add a dozen or so candies to give you. Let you rinse your mouth to save on bad breath. It's been a long time since I drank Aji's coffee, do you still like it? I love coffee, but I really dislike you, said Wu Xiaozu. Humph. I've looked into your case, and you were lucky back then and didn't get nailed to death all at once. I don't believe your luck will always be so good. You made me very angry, so I had to blame you. So, do you think it's fair, Zuj? If you don't want me to drink soup with peace of mind, then I'll lift the table and make it impossible for all of you miscellaneous soups to drink. Do you really think you and the big shot are hanging up in the sky? Qian Jiahao gave a cold smile. Mong Kok Tea House. Smoke shrouded, but in the corner lay a 8 immortals table with hot pot on it. Tonight is a stormy night, so be careful. Don't go back tonight, I'll arrange a room for you. Sitting in the front seat, a fat old man in a tang suit picked out a piece of meat from the hot pot and rinsed it in white water. Fabua, can't you be so careful when using it? The middle-aged man with a face full of flesh and fat exclaimed dissatisfied. Huxiong, that's not the case. Hong Kong Island is not peaceful tonight, and Fabua is also doing it for us. Regardless of the situation, it's best to have no contact with us or Xing tonight. A refined man holding a purple clay teapot next to the obese old man pointed out the window and hinted inwardly, it's a big storm in the martial arts world. Playing as a spectator on the wall. Don't be seen as a scapegoat by others. The first wave will come and pull your flag. The bald man sitting opposite glanced at the elegant man, and the yin-yang monster said, be careful not to set fire to yourself. Brother Lu. I'm afraid the fire won't be big enough to be extinguished by the rain, the elegant and refined Lugu snorted coldly. Cough. Fabua calmly wiped his mouth with a handkerchief, and when he coughed, the three of them also stopped arguing. The flag of Hesheng is placed here and won't fall. Whoever comes to stroke the tiger's beard tonight, we will clench our fists and nail him to death. I know your thoughts. But Hesheng can't be chaotic. Fabua scanned the crowd and Tiger Wei was still present. Do you understand what I mean? Although the skinny man and bald guy were not satisfied, they had to nod and say yes. The Ruyalugu on the side also smiled to indicate understanding. Seeing the three people nodding, Fabwa stood up and went upstairs. Fabwa walked up the stairs as if he remembered something. He glanced at Ale and coughed hoarsely. Azu has been released from prison. The elegant and refined Lugu was taken aback and lowered his head. I know Fabwa. Fabwa leaned on a cane, and the bodyguard beside him helped him move upstairs. The interrogation room. Wu Xiaozu raised the corner of his mouth and smiled at Qian Jiahao, saying, a man who loves to laugh has never had bad luck. I made a mistake back then and was punished. The judge told me to correct my mistake and start over. I think my luck has always been good. If you think I'm wrong, why don't you go talk to the judge? Really? And now? Qian Jiahao suddenly flipped the cup, poured the coffee cup, and the whole cup of coffee spilled on Wu Xiaozu. It seems that your luck is not good. Has anyone gone to the Independent Commission Against Corruption to accuse you of wasting public funds? Money, sir. Wu Xiaozu calmly wiped his coffee with his hand. If there's no one, do you mind if I go to the Independent Commission Against Corruption and tell you that you waste taxpayers' money? Do you really think taking the Independent Commission Against Corruption would scare me? Of course not, I'm just afraid you'll waste taxpayers' money. As you know, it's difficult to make money now. Sir. Wu Xiaozu spread his hand and looked innocent. Just as the two were engaged in a verbal altercation, there was suddenly a knock on the door. Sorry, I'm Mr. Luo's lawyer. The door was opened and a man in a straight suit walked in. He happened to see Wu Xiaozu looking disheveled with coffee all over his body, looking serious at Qian Jiahao. Sir, I reserve the right for Wu Sheng to sue you now. If you fail to provide evidence, fail to follow the police procedures to bring Mr. Luo back to the police station, and engage in insulting behavior during the interrogation, which violates the police regulations, my client has the right to sue you. It seems that my luck is not bad. Do you think so, Qian Sir? Wu Xiaozu glanced at Qian Zhou's gloomy face and asked the lawyer, can I leave here now? Of course, their detention and trial without any evidence is a violation of Hong Kong's rule of law. If you feel that you have been treated unfairly during the trial, Mr. Luo, I can help you sue this Sir within 24 hours, said the lawyer. I'm sorry, Mr. Qian. It seems I can go home for the night tonight. Wu Xiaozu stood up and placed his hand on Qian Zhou's shoulder, whispering, I forgot to tell you, I hate people making decisions for me the most in my life. It's really impolite to talk to others while looking down, and even more impolite to spill coffee all over them. As he spoke, his hands filled with coffee rubbed against Qian Zhou's clothes, his gaze fixed on him from beginning to end, both sides staring at each other with sharp eyes flickering. By the way, sir, what is the ICAC phone number? Wu Xiaozu, don't be too arrogant. Qian Zhou's eyes were filled with a sinister chill. You won't be so lucky next time. I'll keep an eye on you now. I'll take you back to the temple. Wu Xiaozu dusted his clothes and snorted coldly, I forgot to tell you, don't shout at me for coffee next time. I don't have time. Wu Xiaozu followed the lawyer out of the police station and looked curiously at the lawyer wearing golden glasses beside him, asking in confusion, may I ask what you call sir? Zhu Gu. This is my cousin who studied in the UK before. He works in a law firm. Su Liao welcomed him and explained to Wu Xiaozu before quickly introducing him. This is my big shot Wu Xiaozu, Zhu Gu. Zheng Zhongjian, if only I were Mike. Mike, dressed in a standard elite outfit, was affectionate and indifferent. I just finished washing up when I received a telegram from the Hot Pot restaurant, stating that a Mr. Su asked him to call me and tell me to come to the police station to collect someone. When Io was paying the bill, he gave a tip to the waiter and wrote the phone number on the bill. Luo Dong walked over holding his arm. Boss, don't look at me, it's not that Yao told me to cheat. Everyone says I'm a traitor, and I only then know that Ah Yao is the most cunning. Fat Ching covered his head and grinned in pain. Tell me to bump into him before entering the interrogation room. If they cause trouble, I'll have them torture him to confess and beat the prisoner. Illegal interrogation, the highest legal responsibility, can be pursued and he can be asked to take off his police uniform, Mike said. Wu Xiaozu was pleasantly surprised and glanced at Su Liao, who usually doesn't show any signs of beauty. This guy knows how to eat his brain. It seems that Qian Sir is really in trouble. Wu Xiaozu turned his head to look at the window upstairs, his mouth curled up, and he reached out his finger to make a pistol shape, firing 3 shots in a row. Poor guy. Convex. Everyone will discuss reading books. Thank you for collecting and recommending tickets. This chapter is so long that I doubt life. When I reach my waist, how about a youth recommendation ticket and collecting it? End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Dragon City Night Tales, First Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Dragon City Night Tales, First Battle PS, seeking recommended tickets and collecting them. The tea restaurant near the Tin Hau MTR station in Causeway Bay. Longqing Ice House. The tea restaurant has 3 floors. The first floor is the restaurant and kitchen, and the second floor is the restaurant, restroom, and miscellaneous room. The third floor is the residence and is not open to the public. This tea restaurant is one of the few private businesses among the 4 brothers. Fortunately, there is such a tea restaurant nearby. The first floor tea restaurant is shrouded in smoke. Take his mother in your mouth. Are these dogs? Fat Ching viciously twisted his cigarette butt. Qian Jiahao, this bastard, took the opportunity to mess with us. Don't let me seize the opportunity next time, otherwise even if I hit his mother, I won't recognize him. Perhaps his whole family will die, Luo Dong said slowly. Without a father or mother, who would you choose to be his mother? Damn it, you've been tough on me. There's no way, Sheng Yi chooses someone to talk to. Silly Biao and Debeat can't negotiate. The 2 teams have long been separated and will definitely start fighting tonight. The film just finished by the movie company of the Number Gang leader was stolen. It is said to be made by the Chaozhou Gang. The Number Gang, in retaliation, directly shoveled a batch of goods from their dock. Now the Chaozhou Gang and the Number Gang are not giving way to each other, causing a storm in the city. I don't think I will give up easily. Even Xianan. Su Liao shook his head and said, after the boss passed the game, that bastard caused a lot of trouble and got into a fight with the scumbag. He was so crazy that he threw gas canisters into each other's fields and enjoyed fireworks. Even the poor guys couldn't sit still and ran out to clear the scene. Tonight is such a great opportunity, don't believe them, don't cause trouble. I'm afraid it will be another big storm in the martial arts world. There are dogs outside. Luo Dong looked at a black Jiamei sedan on the street corner, his eyes narrowed coldly. That's not even better. There's a dog on guard. Wu Xiaozu wore an apron and took out noodles from the kitchen. Being disturbed by Qian Jiahao while eating hot pot, I could only fill my stomach with a few bowls of noodles. Kick his mother. These street thugs haven't made any progress at all, treating us as blind. They don't even talk about their technical skills, and sooner or later they will be used as knives. They don't even know how to die. Fei Qing held a cigarette and pursed his lips. As a few people sat at the dining table eating noodles, the wind and rain outside grew stronger and stronger. Through the storm, the entire street became a mess. Blood flowing into a river may be exaggerated, but blood-stained streets are everywhere. Some people retaliate wildly, some take advantage of the situation to cause trouble, while others fish in troubled waters and watch the fire from afar. Anyway, it's incredibly lively. Several cars came and stopped beside the road in the storm. Brother Lo, that's the car of the strip over there. A young man looked at the elegant man. What should I do? Then let him go, said the refined man calmly. Not for a while. Suddenly, the sound of a radio call came to mind in the police car, saying that there was a disturbance caused by the ancient troublemaker not far away. The police officers near Tianho station were asked to come and provide support. Is there anyone else who eats noodles? Wu Xiaozu just finished speaking. With a click, the rolling shutter door suddenly opened. I want to eat. A refined man walked in. Seeing the person coming, Fei Chen, Luo Dong, and Su Liao, who were eating noodles, paused and looked at each other, raising their vigilance. Why, not welcome? The elegant man sat down on the chair that his younger brother had stretched out with a golden knife, and with his hands crossed, he scrutinized the four of them. Suddenly, he smiled and said, Azu, don't come safe. Wu Xiaozu frowned and casually took off his apron. Oh, it's windy and heavy rain. Brother Lo really has some free time. He patted his head and suddenly said, I asked why today the police officer is just like a dead mother, staring at my card. If you have feelings, Brother Lo, you can give me your advice. He didn't believe that Qian Jiahao would really come knocking on him for no reason today. As for whether it is arranged by Brother Lo, does it matter? What note? Ah Zhu, you are laughing. It's stormy tonight. Fabua knows you are released from prison, so he specially told me to care about it. Why, when will you return to the club? Brother Li's sincere smile hung all over his face. Stop it. When I surrendered and broke away from the club, were you joking? Or did you think you were pretty and I wanted to pursue you in the club? Unfortunately, I don't like you. Wu Xiaozu's gaze was sharp and he said coldly, I have no contact with your club, and I have not troubled your club for 4 years. You take your path, and I cross my single plank bridge. Don't test me. Since I, Wu Xiaozu, made such a decision in the beginning, I will definitely keep my promise. The sky is high and far, forgetting the world. If you come to the restaurant for dinner, I welcome you. If we talk about anything else, we won't deliver. Damn it, what's your attitude towards fighting the street? The horse behind Lu Gu pointed at Wu Xiaozu and choked. Lu Gu snorted coldly and pretended to curse, there's no room for you to speak here, clap your hands. No trouble. Suddenly, the dark figure flashed and creaked, and then the talkative little brother tragically fell onto the table, howling in pain. Luo Dong patted his pants legs and looked coldly at the people across from him, who was too scared to move much. Finally, his gaze froze on Lu Ji's face. Brother Lu, do you understand what my boss is saying? I called you Brother Lu not because you are really Brother Lu, but because my boss is here and I don't want to curse or take action. Do you understand, Brother Lu? The elegant temperament of Lu Ji's face was unpredictable, and the speed of twisting beads accelerated. Wu Xiaozu leaned over and his eyes met. Believe it or not, you can treat me as real or fake. I'm not interested in club affairs, he said, okay. For the sake of 4 years of hard work, I believe that Azu wants to salvage Xingxing. It's best if the well water doesn't invade the river. If you want to salvage Xingxing, I have no reason to be a villain. Lu Ji's eyes calmed down and flickered. Stand up and leave with big strides. Looking at the disappearing convoy outside the car, Wu Xiaozu sighed in his heart. 3rd floor bedroom. Zhu Gu. Luo Dong patted Wu Xiaozu's shoulder with concern. Wu Xiaozu shook his head, squeezed out a smile, and looked at the 3 brothers. I don't participate in the club. But back then, when the little guys, Ah Jin and Fei Zai called me a big shot, I couldn't ignore their families. If you want to take care of your brothers' families, money is the key. Su Liao asked anxiously, but now it's difficult to make money from Xingxing. Luo Dong frowned and pondered, but also shook his head, unable to think of anything. When a person dies, the light cannot be extinguished. Living people naturally need to take care of their families. Anyway, the most important thing now is to make money. Xiao Dong Dong, of course you're standing on the street with your figure. I guarantee you'll become the number 1. Fat Qingjian's atmosphere was a bit heavy, and he kept making jokes. While teasing, he humbly touched Luo Dong's bare chest and said, "Wow, your elasticity is good. The rich ladies and mistresses must love you." "Oh, oh. Donga, I was wrong." "Ah." Luo Dong let out a cold snort, grabbed onto Fei Qing's fingers, and pouted forcefully, instantly causing a scream to rise inside the room. "Who stands on the street?" "I stand on the street, I stand on the street." Fei Qing rubbed his hand and muttered angrily, "What's wrong with selling fart stocks? Don't underestimate it. I'm a gluttony bully, I don't know how to attract the favor of many teachers. I can't say I'll take care of my brothers and let you taste something new." "Ah." Before he could break his thoughts with words, Luo Dong kicked him off the sofa and the world fell silent. "There are still over 2,000 yuan in the store. However, I can borrow some money from my old cousin. He earns money as a lawyer, so borrowing 100,000 yuan should not be a problem," said Su Liao. "Wow, is it so easy to earn money as a lawyer?" Fat Qing opened his mouth in surprise. "Lawyers eat their brains. Of course it's easy to make money," Su Liao pointed to his head and joked, "it's more profitable than standing on the street." "Chi." Fei Qing complained softly, "Eating brain actually makes more money than selling fart stocks. Is there any natural reason?" "Pick." Wu Xiaozu pinched a cigarette box and smashed it on Fei Qing's head, laughing and cursing, plucking the street. "Now let's talk about business. What's the best way to make money now? Let's start filming now. As long as you bring in a few celebrities and show off your reputation, you can sell them for money. Everyone comes to make movies. It's good water and noodles. Nowadays, there are always parties in and out, and female celebrities sleep from Kowloon to the new territories," said Su Liao casually. Yes, True Hero is nearly 20 million at the box office. His mother blew up. God is blind, we make so little money from morning to night. These stars can make tens of millions if they pose a few times, damn it. Fei Qing looks angry. So profitable, let's make a movie. Wu Xiaozu leaned back, his eyes full of smiles. In his previous life, Wu Xiaozu graduated from a media major and shamelessly joined the ranks of people's teachers, transforming into a handsome teacher in a private art college. Ahem, the key word is handsome. In addition to guiding teaching, I also work part-time to write film reviews and do soft recommendations. In my spare time, I am preparing to form groups with friends to deceive wealthy individuals into investing in shooting internet celebrity movies. To sum up, he belongs to half of a literary and artistic worker. Before his rebirth, he was rolling on the bed of the hotel with the art school to greet Qishi. The famous Xiangjiang movie man Jun once said, "This is the best era of Xiangjiang movies, and it is also the worst era of Xiangjiang movies. Gangs are rushing to enter and spend money. Pretty guys and girls who love this book, hold on to this book. Seeking recommended tickets and bookmarks." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Film, 400,000 yuan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 7. Filming is first business, then entertainment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Filming is first business, then entertainment. PS looking for recommended tickets. Requesting recommended tickets. Collect and take a wave. Over 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. In 1986, Xiangjiang was not much. You can either purchase an old apartment in a poor location. It is also possible that the wealthy may lose all their money in a gambling game. In the previous life, it seems that when it comes to the 1980s Xiangjiang movies, the first impression was of low cost, small production, and a broad perspective. It is customary to use the current housing prices as a reference for the investment amount of a movie to prove the so-called purchasing power. There is a word called generalizing by bias. An example they often give is that in 1982, with a purchasing power of 500,000 Hong Kong dollars, one could purchase an ordinary small meter villa, so making a movie for 1 million would be considered a major production. Usually, a small production of 100,000 to 200,000 yuan is enough. Actually, what? We are all aware of the reason for the low housing prices on Hong Kong Island at this time. I won't mention it specifically, I'll supplement it with my own brain. In 1982, before Wu Xiaozu was imprisoned, the bald head of the new art city leaned against the thunder tycoon, and for a moment, he was full of energy, guiding the country and writing vigorously. Get ready for a big fight and challenge the power of Jiahe. The first plan is to find a messy guy who became popular on a small screen to play the male lead of the Hong Kong version of 007, the summer blockbuster of New Art City, which later became popular and set a box office record, igniting an IP series called Best Partner. But where did Phage at that time have the thought to make a movie? He was busy arguing with Lian Mei at the time, so he arrogantly refused. That's right, Zhou Ruanfa refused. I chose to give up my career for the sake of love. However, it later proved that no matter how hard I tried to save my relationship if it broke. It's better to preserve each other's beauty and choose to let go before resentment arises. In short, Song King Su Guanjie is actually a spare tire of New Art City. But a spare tire is always better than a jack. The king of songs is very bold. The lion gnaws on the embroidered ball, and if you want to have a hard anus in the New Art City, that's great. At this stage of Xiangjiang, except for Zhou Ruanfa, Su Laosi, have high popularity. There is no need to talk about a 2 million yuan film fee and box office share. The cost of reverse osmosis Jiahe is too low, of course not worth it. At that time, Su's film company was backed by Jiahe and could be said to have unlimited glory. Su Guanjie has a great reputation in the music industry, as well as in the film industry. His films, Half a Pound, 8 Tails, and The Loser have sold well at the box office. Yes, at this point, brother Su Guanjie shouted out the concept of dividing box office revenue. In fact, it is not anyone else who plays this concept the best. It is Mr. Zhou from Jiahe, and even the celebrity studios established by later celebrities are left over by Mr. Zhou. Zhou Wenhui is still a filmmaker with a broad mind and a sense of responsibility. This is much stronger than others. Compared to a few scheming guys in New Art City, their vision is much more long-term. Maijia reported to Boss Lei that Qinglong and Hong Jinbao from Jiahe have already paid for the planned filming of Plan A and Young Master Long, both of which are produced by Jiahe. We want to make a big splash, can't we guarantee the box office without Su Guanjie? Lei Daheng is ambitious enough to establish the Golden Princess Company and invest in film companies such as New Art City and Yongjia, with the intention of making a big splash. Can he be cowardly at this time? And to say that Tycoon Lei is really wealthy, without hesitation, he threw the bank promissory note in Mecca's face and waved his hand, anal him. Don't be cowardly, the elite of Jiahe. I am fighting against the elite of Jiahe. So, later on, we all knew that Su Guanjie became famous in Southeast Asia due to his lack of friends in Best Partner. Leaving only Phage holding Lianmei, the two of them staged a scene of, "You are cold, you are ruthless, you are unreasonable," tears streaming down their faces. And secretly playing self-harm and committing suicide. Pretty guy's hair almost turned into lying dead hair. A generation of superstars almost died on a bottle of cleaning agent. If it weren't for the servant discovering it in time, how could Phage have completed the masterpieces of films such as Macau Money Trap 1 and Macau Continuing Money Trap in later generations to deceive and trap money? Ultimately, film is still a commercial operation, belonging to the category of art and entertainment within the commercial industry. At least few people make a movie with the intention of losing money, right? Even if the Sunglasses King initially excluded artistic pursuits, he still sought market recognition, right? Belonging to both wanting to be self-congratulating and wanting everyone to be together, otherwise why bother screening in theaters? Loneliness is a person's carnival, and revelry is the loneliness of a group of people. Unfortunately, his world alone is indeed filled with loneliness, but a group of people are missing from the lonely world to accompany him on a carnival. The Sunglasses King is therefore very lonely at the box office. Looking at a group of literary and artistic enthusiasts who usually hold salons in the Directors' Association, they cursed loudly. They agreed to go bald together, but you secretly baked oil. The rapid development of Xinjiang's economy and the changes in the situation between China and the UK have led to the emergence of a foam-shaped deformed economy. Xinjiang has witnessed a false prosperity, which has brought social shaking, impetuosity and pressure on people's minds. This situation has led to the flourishing development of Xinjiang film since the late 1970s. After experiencing the baptism of the new wave, the Xinjiang film industry has entered a boom. The development of any entertainment market cannot be separated from the influence of the external environment, which is beyond doubt. Anyway, be resolute. Xinjiang movies are becoming increasingly popular like volcanic eruptions, and production costs are also skyrocketing. The reason for the impression of low cost and small production is simply due to market irregularities and profit-driven factors. If it is really possible to shoot a commercial blockbuster movie at a low price of 200,000 to 300,000 yuan, how should those film companies that have lost money explain it? During the peak period of Xinjiang, there were over 1,000 film and leather bag companies that could be named after. If we dig graves for burial, the land on Hong Kong Island is not enough for burial. At the timeline of 1986, a commercial cinema film would still cost a minimum of 1 or 2 million yuan. The movies produced by big actors and celebrities are at least 3.4 million, and even 5.6, 7.8 million. Ultimately, it's because Xinjiang movies are too hot and have too much cultural impact. Even if the local box office in Xinjiang sells well, then other places such as Beibei, South Bolivarian Republic of Korea, and Southeast Asia will also sell well. Southeast Asian film merchants and cinematographers are waving checks to grab the source and lead time of their films. If you want to shoot a low-cost movie now, you need at least hundreds of thousands of dollars to support it. A lighting group requires at least 2,000 yuan from an ordinary lamp owner to start work for you. If the salaries of the behind-the-scenes personnel increase, then actors need not be mentioned. Feige first appeared in movies in 1975, but his true lead role was in the film Chi Nv, produced by Shili Company in 1976. He collaborated with the beautiful woman Yuan, who was also his first sister. In law. When he was still called Liangzai Fa, his salary was only a few thousand yuan. Over the past decade, Zhou Ruanfa's achievements in movies have been lackluster, but the small screens have become smoother and smoother. On the big screen, the handsome guy's hair turned into poison hair, but even so, his income changed from salary to film pay, increasing more than 10 times. Opening a play, there are still hundreds of thousands of Hong Kong dollars available. I think the person who wants him to be poisoned the most is Wu Xiaozu, the owner of Shili Film. The big boss opened a series of films to praise him, but one after another, he became more and more popular. Early Zhou Ruanfa was indeed very artistic, and he had not yet figured out his commercialized side, or his own commercialized performance. It is not an exaggeration to call it a sinkhole, at most 3 bronze pieces. The true color of heroes, Zhou Ruanfa plays in friendship, and the price of supporting role is 100,000 yuan. There is no way, even though Feige has repeatedly pitted producers and investors, he cannot withstand his fame. Similar to the little fresh meat stars of later generations. A large box office lacks appeal, but it has a considerable number of fans. It's so hot that a TV fan goes to flip through his trash can that he's so scared that even the guy's toilet paper doesn't dare to use much, afraid that a woman might suddenly pop up and give birth to a child, and then ask him if he's happy. At that time, the movie fans were too crazy. As for this phenomenal movie, 500,000 is him, and 1 million is also him. Anyway, in the early 1990s, as long as the name of Hua Zai was posted, some film merchants were willing to spend 8 million to buy flowers. At that time, Liu Dehua was paid 3 million yuan per piece of film, do you believe? Otherwise, why do you think those club film companies hire him with scripts and guns? This is faster than printing money. So, now Wu Xiaozu is filming. In commercial movies, there is no need to consider the celebrity effect. It's just 400,000 Hong Kong dollars. Could you please invite Zhou Ruanfa's leg to act? Surprisingly rich, so there's no problem with making movies. Wow. I didn't expect we could also make movies, ahaha. Fei Cheng's face turned red with excitement, and his eyes lit up. Can we invite Zhou Ruanfa, Cheng Long, Hong Jinbao, Hong Gu, and Lin Qingxia to act? Looking at Wu Xiaozu's eyes, nose, and mouth, he opened his mouth and whispered, why don't we replace it with Zhao Yaji, Su Xiaoming, Qiu Guan, Huang Rihua, Lu Songren, and Li Saifeng? Fei Cheng had a mournful expression on his face, with a look of unrequited love. Isn't it possible that even Shi Tian didn't have enough money to invite him to film? Do you think I'm a money boy, or do you want us celebrities to act in stage plays? Wu Xiaozu glared at him and said, don't filming require equipment? Don't you need to find someone to start? Do we need the 4 of us to shoot? You big shot, I have 400,000, not 40 million. Wealthy guy. Money. Fat Cheng shrunk his neck and suddenly his eyes lit up. He shook his curly hair and gave a seductive look. Boss, why don't I really sell fart stocks? Maybe there will be wealthy women who like this one of mine. I like you. Does the rich woman crave meat? Luo Dong sneered. Hey, why don't you go and talk like this? Maybe some pork chops will like you. As soon as he finished speaking, Luo Dong stood up with a look on his face, which turned pale with fear. Dong Gu. No. Zheng Xiaoqiu from Causeway Bay. Autumn official, I knew I was wrong. Fei Cheng licked his face and begged for mercy with a smile, I'm wearing Zhou Run's hair in Causeway Bay. Please give me a face for being equally beautiful. Alright, Causeway Bay's #1 pretty guy. Pretty guy Dong. What are you calling me? The most beautiful guy in Causeway Bay. Next time. Luo Dong narrowed his eyes and nodded in satisfaction. He glanced at Fei Cheng and gestured with both hands, saying, you can expand the range a bit more. For example, Hong Kong Island's #1 is also good. Definitely. Fei Cheng nodded tightly and his gaze suddenly turned to the big shot Wu Xiaozu on the side. He quickly shook his head and said, no, 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 in my heart, of course Zhu Gu is the most beautiful guy on Hong Kong Island. Dogleg approached Wu Xiaozu to flatter and flatter. Boss, I, the second most beautiful person on Hong Kong Island, will defend to the death your position as the first beautiful person on Hong Kong Island. Convex. 3 people exchanged a glance. Then they pounced on each other, trying their best to express their brotherly feelings. The next day, Causeway Bay, Dragon City Ice House. 2 ham and fried egg sandwiches with bacon and iced coffee. 2 pork chop rice with orange juice, 1 cheese and scrambled egg toast with pineapple oil and coffee. There were quite a few people dining in the cafeteria on the first floor, and Su Liao held a pen and paper while greeting the guests and instructing the 2 waiters to order food. In the kitchen, Wu Xiaozu placed 2 portions of ham and fried egg sandwiches at the serving mouth, rang the serving bell, and casually picked up a damp towel hanging around his neck to wipe his sweat. Like the attire of Chef Wu. Busy after the morning rush hour, 2 assistants were left to look at the store, and the 4 of them left in a car. Reading friends, please bookmark it. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. I tell you listen, Sun Wukong beats White Bone Demon 3 times. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. I tell you, listen, Sun Wukong beats White Bone Demon 3 times Xian Mountain in Wong Tai Sin District, Gospel Church. Did the big shot change his mind to Jesus? Fatty guy leaned against the taxi, with curly hair tied behind his head, and looked uninteresting at the Gospel Church across from him. The big shot doesn't want to come here and ask the faithful to donate money for filming, does he? I only know that there are many child party members, Taoist friends, poor people, and character stalls here. It's probably difficult to raise money here. Hey! Why not buy a can of rapeseed oil and rub fish balls on the street? Fatty guy, do you know that there are many devout and honest people here? A pastor, who was not tall and dressed in a black robe with golden glasses, walked over with a smile on his face. Who are you? Wearing a robe on hot days and pretending to be devout like others. Fei Cheng rolled his eyes and said, do you have many beliefs? Do you have many beliefs for hanging? Can Jesus give me money? Why don't you let Jesus give me 1 or 2 million flowers first? Jesus can give you anything, as long as you are devout. The man dressed as a priest was not angry either. He drew a cross on his chest and said, the Lord is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Amen. Take it. Fei Cheng disdainfully raised his middle finger and pointed to the cross not far away. Brother Su, this amazing pen, hasn't someone nailed it to the nail board yet? It looks like asterisk asterisk. His pants have been chopped and shattered by someone. Can you tell me he can do anything? Should I buy him a pair of beach pants? The priest's mouth twitched, picking on your mother. What adjectives do you have for being a chubby guy? Who was nailed to the board? Who was beaten up like? What happened? I'll tell you, the big shot you believe in is quite effective in the sky of Hong Kong Island. It's better to believe in the Buddha than to believe in him. You see, I learned from the Buddha by perming my hair. Black uncles in America all believe in the Buddha. Leading a new trend in perming. It's also good to believe in Sun Wukong. The great sage has a golden cudgel that can be long or short, a sea god needle, and whether to hang it or not. Do you want me to introduce Sun Dashing to you? Gon Lin Liang. Buddha Master Nyobi. The Buddha's ox pen makes people burn their heads full of big bags. Believe in Sun Wukong, I believe in you, old bean. Sun Wukong wears leopard prints, why don't you learn? If it weren't for my over a decade of self-cultivation and self-cultivation, I would have killed this fat guy with just one strike. The priest's face was uncertain, while Fei Cheng forced a lecture on Journey to the West, which was about Sun Wukong's 3 strikes against white bone demons, Uncle Hua. Wu Xiaozu walked out of the gospel church and saw the priest, smiling and embracing him. This made me quickly swallow back what I had said after becoming fat. Donga, Io, have you really converted to Jesus? Fei Cheng asked curiously. Luo Dong and Su Liao shrugged as they walked by. This is Uncle Hua. Wu Xiaozu waved his 3 brothers over and introduced them to the priest. When introducing Fei Cheng, the priest squinted and smiled inwardly. Laughter scared me so much that I couldn't close my legs. This chubby guy is very nice and catches my eye. Remember to let him come to my place for worship frequently in the future. I will treat him well. No problem, Uncle Hua, if you're willing, it doesn't matter if I let you come here someday, Wu Xiaozu smiled. Okay, I'll wait for him. Uncle Hua glanced at Fei Cheng and his smile was particularly bright. Fei Cheng's face instantly turned pale, and he glanced at the cross, trembling all over. Watching Wu Xiaozu and father enter the gospel church, Fei Cheng, who had fallen behind, felt relieved and breathed a sigh of relief. Who is the old pastor who has been living well in these old days? With such respectful elders, the pastor is very impressive now. A pastor is nothing special, what's remarkable is the person who becomes a pastor, Luo Dong said. Hey, what do you mean? Is this guy very picky? Tell me clearly. Fei Ching urgently asked. Not just hanging, it's just hanging. It's like hanging without friends. His official name is Chen Hua, nicknamed Mao Fanhua, and his real name is Chen Xinji. Do you know the famous 13 protectors of Xi'an Mountain in the past? He was the leader at that time. According to Zhu Gu, even Xiu Gu once handed out a petition, and this Uncle Hua is a big shot with a number to help Uncle Zurichu patted Fei Ching's shoulder and pointed to the Gospel Church. He is currently engaged in evangelical drug rehabilitation and is qualified to be listed as one of the top 10 outstanding young people on Hong Kong Island. Do you think he should be suspended? Fei Ching stared blankly at the Gospel Church and swallowed his saliva. I wonder if it's too late to convert to Jesus now. Isn't it always said that people have loose buttocks when they are old? Why don't they hit the mark? Why is society so complex? Are everyone so dishonest? Do you think even a pastor can nominate the top 10 outstanding young people on Hong Kong Island? Will the club come out to become the governor of Hong Kong the year after tomorrow? Do you want to exaggerate like this? Believe in Jesus. It's more like deceiving Jesus. Complaining verbally, but secretly complaining inwardly. Did you just insult Su Gu? Well, it's clearly damaged. Did you persuade people to believe in Sun Wukong? I also talked about it. Fei Ching became more and more afraid as he thought, with a mournful expression on his face. He followed the Gospel Church like a walking corpse. He really wanted to catch the big shot Wu Xiaozu and shout, "Big shot, don't give up on me. I think I can still save some time. Draw a cross on your chest, Buddha bless you, may heaven be unharmed." Gospel Church. The fan swayed and Luo Dong and the three of them sat scattered on rows of benches. Azu, it's been over 3 years since we last met, and she's getting more and more beautiful. I remember the last time we met, it was when I went to the correctional center to preach the gospel and help inmates get rid of drugs. You weren't as spirited at that time. Chen Xinji handed tea to Wu Xiaozu and was very optimistic about this young man. Chen Xinji came from Xi'an Mountain and was already the leader of the 13 Taibao of Xi'an Temple when he was young. In the 1960s and 1970s, he was famous among the ancient playwrights. The number gang belongs to the uncle generation. Back then, there were only a few people who could afford to eat in Kowloon City Fortress. In the 1970s, he washed his hands and withdrew from the martial arts world. He converted to Jesus and began working as a volunteer for drug rehabilitation and gambling in the gospel. Therefore, it is reported that the Hong Kong Island Federation of the International Youth Chamber of Commerce wants to nominate him as one of the top 10 outstanding young people on Hong Kong Island as a recognition. Yeah, Uncle Hua. It wasn't you who helped me back then, and I couldn't help those bad guys report to the welfare and security departments. At that time, Wu Xiaozu was able to communicate with the Security Bureau, Welfare Department, and Police Force by writing letters to help prison guards obtain benefits, thanks to the help of this uncle's uncle, Hua Shu. As a result, he was able to get away with it. Otherwise, who knows him? Wu Xiaozu is a lonely and wild ghost from which tomb. I'm afraid he can't even figure out which mountain he went to or which temple he worshipped. Not to mention helping the bad guys. Chen Xinji smiled and waved his hand. You know how to eat your brain and have a meticulous heart. With so many people, only you know how to think of such ideas. Others who please bad guys only know how to bribe, and this is what you do once and for all. You are skilled in your methods. I just don't want to continue being a short mule. When I was imprisoned, I felt more than once regretful. I was still confused for a long time, until Uncle Hua, you came to the Correctional Services Department to preach the gospel, and after hearing your personal experience, I truly confirmed that my choice was not wrong. Wu Xiaozu thanked him. It's best if you think this way. Chen Xinji smiled slightly and was quite pleased. By the way, you mentioned on the phone that you're planning to invest in filming. The movie is so good that I want to give it a try. I also heard from Quan Bo and others that you have a wide network in the film industry, so I would like to ask for Hua Shu's help. This time, I also ask for your help in introducing several professionals to me. I'm not afraid of Uncle Hua, you can laugh. I'm blind now and have no way out of the circle. If you don't join the circle, making a film without water is equivalent to telling a joke. If you don't sprinkle water and get scammed, thank goodness. Are you serious? Uncle Hua glanced carefully at Wu Xiaozu and said, back then, with so many horses in Akyu, it seems that you are the one who knows how to eat your brain the most. Since you're interested in filming, of course I'm willing to help. I also know many friends in the movie industry. I will introduce you to them later. Actually, what you said is quite right. If you want to make a film, the most important thing is to integrate into the circle. This is the same principle as doing business. Doing business may seem like a flourishing flower, but in reality, it is a deep abyss. Every industry has its own circle, and these circles have deep waters. I don't know how many people who think they have good water quality drowned. The most important thing in any profession is to have someone lead the way. I have a sleazy guy who has been making a living in the film and television industry for the past few years. Although he doesn't have much fame, he knows all the rules very well. I will introduce him to you. Let him take care of it. Thank you, Uncle Hua. Wu Xiaozu quickly stood up to thank him. The film industry. It's never so easy to get in. If you want to wade water and make money, you need someone to help. Chen Shen's words saved Wu Xiaozu a lot of trouble. This circle is not just composed of a few directors, but also several company CEOs. The circle represents a combination of interests formed by all the people who serve this bowl of rice and rely on this circle to eat. This is similar to a mixed society. When going to other places for a meal, the most important thing is to visit the dock first. Wang Jing should be considered to have a deep foundation and a wide network of people in the Shao family. But it was during the filming of 1,000 Kings Fighting 1,000 Overlords for Shaw Brothers that he was bullied by the joint efforts of the Lantern Lord and the field staff, and could only invite his father, Wang Tianlin, as a great deity. His father came to sit on the set for 3 days, which stabilized the scene and allowed him to successfully complete the filming. Wang Jing is like this, let alone a newcomer. How many wealthy people wade into the water and end up dying worse than Zhao Xi's father? Besides, Wu Xiaozu doesn't have the money to smash it yet. Of course, you can also choose to hold a gun against the head of the film industry and make a lot of money. At first, it was very powerful, but in the end, it all went to pieces, without exception. Don't be polite to me. I'll cut off the chicken head and burn yellow paper with your boss. Although he passed the game and won, our relationship has been going on for many years. I was also deeply saddened by his murder back then. It's too late to regret it later. If you really anticipated, you would have advised him to wash his hands and practice religion with me, no matter what he said back then. Although I don't advocate fighting and killing, I am moved that you can stand up for him. If I persist more, I can't say. Chen Shinji took off his glasses and sighed slightly, creating a much heavier atmosphere for a moment. Xiao told me back then that the fate of the ancient troublemaker was either to be imprisoned or to be chopped to death. It's not my fault, Uncle Hua. Forget it, don't mention him. It's just his weakness. But Azu, I'm glad that you can completely stay away from the club after being released from prison. You're also my nephew. If you encounter any problems in the future, tell me. My sign, Mao Fanhua, can still provide some shelter from wind and rain, and I can support you without any problem. At this moment, the short, thin, weak, and cultured priest had some of the grandeur of a former club leader. Obviously, Uncle Hua knows a lot about Wu Xiaozu. There is a hidden meaning in the words. Wu Xiaozu laughed heartily and praised, who knows, Uncle Hua, your ambition is not old. You have all kinds of authority. Ambition is still there, but Wei can't stand it. If you want Wei, you can only eat more oysters. P.S. Recommended tickets, collect and follow the trend. We need to be indecent and not promiscuous in our development. Seeing that no one likes Hong Kong slang, I will reduce these contents. Strive to improve everyone's reading experience. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Adaptation of Real Cases. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Adaptation of Real Cases. PS, seeking recommended tickets and collecting them. Why invest in movies? Art. Forceful. Emotions. Humanities. Convex. Wu Xiaozu sneered. His idea at this moment was to trap. To make money. A very vulgar and rotten idea, yet incredibly realistic. There are dozens of mouths waiting to eat in Kun Tong, and his brothers and family need him to take care of them. Perhaps we cannot do everything for others, nor can we be saints, but within my own abilities, give an explanation to my former brothers, settle down their families, and give myself peace of mind. This is not a moral binding, it's just a responsibility. Call me a big shot, wish you a lifetime of glory. My brothers have been separated in life and death, so I can only do my best. This is Wu Xiaozu's idea. What is the best theme to choose for a new drama that costs 400,000 yuan to try and make money? In later generations, movies and web dramas of all sizes have told us which theme is the fastest way to make money. A thriller. A thriller. A thriller. Speak with a flat chest. The genre of thrillers is very suitable for small and big. Meanwhile, thrillers can quickly capture the audience and win box office. As for the specific type, zombie movies. Sorry, there's no Uncle 9. Zombie movies are just zombie movies. After all, Hong Kong Island does not yet have the zombie soil of Walking Dead, Zombies Crossing the World, Dawn of the Dead, and Planet of Terror. The most important thing is that there is no money. Ghost films. The demand for makeup and stunts is too high, and the cost is not enough. You cannot let a makeup assistant who can only paint brides' makeup do the job of styling or art guidance. A stream of consciousness thriller. Hee, if you don't play this game well, it can easily become a popular science film. A training manual for mentally disabled directors. Anyway, countless directors in later generations have devoted themselves to this path. So the question is, what else does a thriller film have besides that? If you ask this question, you must have never seen Silence of Lambs, Scared by the Electric Saw, Cha Siu Bao, and Dish Immortals, Pen Immortals, Bowl Immortals, Dish Immortals. Wu Xiaozu chose an original adaptation of a real-life case that was not well known in later generations but shocked Hong Kong in the 1980s. Named The Butcher on a Rainy Night. The script mainly talks about the dismemberment case that caused a sensation in Xiangjiang the same year he was imprisoned. He had a deep impression of this case in his mind, which shocked the entire Hong Kong island at that time. It can be said that everyone knows. Taxi driver Lin Guiyun relentlessly harmed 4 female passengers, first killing them, then committing acts of *****, and finally cruelly dismembering them. The entire process was extremely tragic and dehumanizing. This case caused a sensation in 1982, and Governor MacLehose personally questioned it. So much so that the people of Hong Kong Island turned pale when talking about forests. After the case was exposed, the taxi industry was greatly affected, and many taxi drivers were tragically unemployed. The trading volume of the license plate exchange has plummeted like an N-shaped line, and the anxious Hong Kong Island Taxi Association has to work with regulatory authorities to introduce multiple policies to ease the impact. One person influences an industry. On February 11, 1982, the police found a dismembered female head and 2 arms in the Qingmen River based on reports from citizens. After investigation and verification, it was confirmed that she is Chen Xiaolan, a dancer at the Starry nightclub. The cruelty of the technique and the terror of the crime have put immense pressure on the Xiangjiang police. Meanwhile, the cruel culprit did not stop committing the crime. No one knows, this is just the prelude to a serial dismemberment case. On May 29, scavengers reported to the police and the police called out. Another dismembered female head and limb were found in a garbage dump, and it was confirmed that Chen Yunyun, a 31-year-old married night shift cashier at a convenience store. On June 17, tourists discovered another case of a woman's dismembered body being brutally murdered in the forest of the park. At the same time, the body was found under a stone mill in the park. After confirming her identity, it was confirmed that she was a 39-year-old female cleaner in the mall, Liang Xiufen. On July 2, Xie Huixin, a female student who had just attended a banquet, went missing. Her family reported her to the police, and the next day her body was discovered by the police. The body was dismembered, and at the same time, there was a major breakthrough in the case. The police discovered that there were small tadpole residues inside the dismembered body. At this point, similar serial homicide and dismemberment cases have been presented to the public, causing huge social panic and increasing pressure on the police, leaving them at a loss. The criminals' methods are cruel and involve dismemberment, which poses a huge obstacle to solving the case. What's even more terrifying is that the interval between the crimes is becoming increasingly rapid, which also proves that the killer is becoming more reckless. The governor of Hong Kong and the director of police had to frequently intervene to comfort the frightened citizens, and even issued military orders to the police force. But all of this did not ease the tense atmosphere, and the torrent of terror continued to spread. Many companies have cancelled night shifts for female employees, and even many Feng sisters in Boland Street have not been introduced, which is a clear indication. Just as the police were at a loss for the case, a staff member of a photo studio in Wan Chai discovered a photo of a woman being dismembered while developing it, and quickly called the police. Let the culprit of the serial murder and dismemberment case, taxi driver Lin Guiyun, appear in the sight of the police. After investigation and evidence collection, the police confirmed that the taxi driver was the murderer of the crazy dismemberment case, and immediately sent the police to arrest him. This led to the announcement of the resolution of the sensational serial dismemberment case. During the investigation and evidence collection process, the police were shocked to discover a large number of dismembered photos and **** videos taken by the perpetrator, which were extremely shocking. The investigators were spitting and collecting evidence, and the entire scene was shocking. The case, which was feared by newspapers as the rainy night monster, back then, really had a huge impact. It even pushed the Traffic Management Department and the Security Bureau to jointly introduce the latest taxi management law, and it took a long time for the Xiangjiang taxi industry to recover its vitality. This case has the necessary elements to be adapted into a movie. It is a serial murder and dismemberment case that caused a sensation throughout the entire Xiangjiang River. There is both social dissemination and gimmicks, making it highly topical. Cruelty, transformation, horror, ***, and other peripheral elements are enough to attract attention. At the same time, the adaptation of this event into Rainy Night Butcher will not have a high investment, box office expectations, and selling points. In previous lives, this serial dismemberment case has been adapted into TV series, TV dramas, movies, and comics multiple times. Such as Hong Kong Mysterious Case. The Butcher in the Mist Night, The First Court, Justice Cleansing Record 2, Confidential Archives Lin Guiyun, Hong Kong Mysterious Case Record. Even Wong Ka-Kue, the lead singer of the Hong Kong Island's iconic rock band Beyond, created a song called Dead Romance, Part 2, to explore the thought process of transforming into the cloud and the abstraction of death. The most famous of them is Hong Kong Chronicles. Dr. Lam, which was filmed by Universal Pictures in the early 1990s and starred Ren Dahua and Li Zaiwameng. However, Wu Xiaozu did not consider plagiarizing this film. Apart from showing off horror, blood, and pornography, that movie can only be said to be average. In his view, thriller movies, although focused on bloody pornography, pose a challenge to the actors' acting skills. Most of these movies are adaptations of real cases, giving the audience a preconceived impression. This requires the director to endow the film with new eye-catching elements. Otherwise, why go into the cinema to watch a movie? It's better to find out about the footage from back then. In the script of The Butcher on a Rainy Night, Wu Xiaozu endowed Lin Guiyun with more elements to elevate this transformative character. Every movie has its performance tone. The tone of Lin Guiyun's character in Wu Xiaozu's plays is gentle, crazy, and adaptable. Under the tone of the character, begin to enrich the character. This taxi driver must be very low-key and gentle on weekdays. Wearing a pair of black-framed glasses, he will be a devout Jesuit believer, so he usually holds a Bible. Believe that all living beings are lambs, and God is the shepherd. He also has a bit of a cleanliness fetish, so he often wears a white handkerchief. The taxi must be very clean. He likes to wear a white shirt, black pants, and white socks. Having a cleanliness obsession like obsessive-compulsive disorder. In the next few days, Wu Xiaozu immersed himself in writing the script while perfecting his filming plan. As for the split-shot script, it can only be written after the scene survey. Terrain, lighting, and climate all affect the camera position and lens, so split-shot scripts usually need to be surveyed before studying based on actual conditions. The choice of a male protagonist determines the success or failure of the film. Is that so? Wu Xiaozu touched his chin. Having guided dozens of peripheral skills on my own, I estimate I'm still a bit close. Director Wu pondered for a second before deciding to hire a well-performing male actor. As far as he knew, there was a male actor who needed to save himself. P.S. Tickets need to be purchased for viewing, and the ticket inspection time is up. Serious face. Ticket checking. Picking up tickets. Seeking tickets. Running around with a face of awe. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Like a Narcissus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Like a Narcissus. P.S. Seeking recommended tickets and collecting them. The night in Xinjiang is like the blooming orioles and swallows, showing off their sexy demeanor. The flickering lights, dazzling colors, vibrant lights, and the restlessness of the day completely ignite extravagance and noise. White-collar beauties shed the hustle and bustle and transformed into nighttime warblers, while self-proclaimed elite men took off their masks and transformed into lascivious individuals who attract bees and butterflies. Xinjiang is like the final passing of a 10-mile ocean field, where both Eastern and Western cultures converge, creating a unique and eerie atmosphere that blends flamboyance and sophistication. It is both flamboyant and full of smoke and fire. Exaggeration seems to have always been synonymous with this city. And gradually move away. Wu Xiaozu leaned against the car door, smoking a cigarette, waiting for news from Luo Dong while being in a daze. If this is done well, it is profound. For example, Liang Chaowei. Driver, could you please take me to Kowloon? Let me take a look at the address. Kowloon Tong 70. Just as Wu Xiaozu was puffing out his cigarette rings, evacuating his literary illness, he sighed at the brilliance of the lights covering up the stars, swaying the vulgar fans. In an instant, a gentle voice suddenly rang in my ear. Driver. Wu Xiaozu turned his head and saw a tall woman with long black and straight hair, fair skin, apricot eyes hidden in water, and a gentle yet classical charm on her face. At that moment, there was a beautiful woman in the south, standing tall and graceful. The stunning woman was flipping around with her rivet backpack, her figure flat in front and tilted back. But what is this flipping through? A pack of snacks. Another pack of snacks. Another pack of snacks. Oh, a glass of water. Aunt's scarf. Made Wu Xiaozu's eyes skip a beat. Sister, as for being so messy. What about your goddess persona? After flipping through it for a while, the tall beauty finally pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. With a happy expression on his face, he patted one or two breasts with relief, brushed his hair behind his ear, lifted his head, and smiled slightly, saying, I'm sorry, it should be the TVB artist dormitory at 77, Broadcasting Road, Kowloon Tong, Kowloon. The gentleness of bowing one's head, like a daffodil. Perhaps due to finding a piece of paper, there was a hint of little certainty in the corners of the starry eyes with thick eyebrows. As Wu Xiaozu watched the tall and gentle beauty in front of him finish speaking and immediately get into the car, the explanation that Wu Xiaozu was about to say turned into a relieved smile. Get it? Only long legs and AA cannot be let down. The cigarette butt marked a spark, and the tail lights of the car disappeared into the flickering street. Speak softly, the long road is about to pass. Finally walk through a bright and sunny day, the sound of cheers leaps up, like the red sun issuing golden arrows. I accompany you to smile again in the past, whispering softly, looking up at the sky together. Finally, the beautiful sky offers you. The radio was filled with passionate songs, retaining the strong bond between friends in their emotions. The scenery on both sides of the car retreated, as if in a daze of time stagnation. The long-legged woman was also attracted by the singing on the radio and couldn't help but hum along with the song softly. Embracing you, the warmth once again emerged in my heart. Childhood childish dreams remain uncontaminated today. I am trying to stand shoulder to shoulder with you again back in the day. Now it's adding freshness looking at you. The warmth in your eyes has been electrified. Listening to Wu Xiaozu's passionate moan despite running away, his face turned strange and his subordinates consciously turned up the volume of the radio station. He guarantees that he did not intend to. Perhaps there was something wrong with the radio station. It was just a slight adjustment, but the sound suddenly shook my ears and the sound in the back row came to a sudden halt. The carriage was suddenly quiet. Wu Xiaozu's hand was still on the radio voice control, which was very abrupt. This situation is truly awkward. The long-legged beauty sitting in the back row had a shy and distressed expression on her face, and her heart was filled with anger. With a thin skin, she blushed slightly and turned her head in embarrassment, pretending to stare at the scenery passing by the roadside. A pair of almond-shaped eyes peeked at the front row, revealing anger in their eyes. The song I just played for you is the theme song of the popular Hong Kong film, The True Beauty. This song was written by Mr. Huang Gui and composed by Mr. Gu Jiahui. It was sung by the handsome young man Zhang Gui, who played Song Zijia in The True Beauty. When everyone hears this song, they must also think of figures such as Xiaoma Gu, Hao Gu, Ajai, etc. Do you still remember some of your good friends? Below. The radio host introduced the song just now. The song, Back Then Love, sounds quite good. Wu Xiaozu broke the awkward atmosphere inside the car by grabbing the beginning of the sentence and jokingly said, Zhang Gui's voice is very emotional. The beautiful woman in the back row ignored. Ahem. This song is not very easy to sing. Wu Xiaozu found a reason why he wanted to give the beautiful woman a step down, right? It's okay, isn't it? This song is the key for the male voice, which is a bit low and not suitable for girls to sing. Many songs are sung in different styles by different people. Girls will adapt the key and melody when singing. The tall and gentle beauty sat up straight and took Wu Xiaozu's words, seriously talking nonsense. Looking through the rearview mirror at the serious and lovely appearance of the beautiful woman, Wu Xiaozu almost believed it. What? You don't believe it? The beautiful woman's thick eyebrows and apricot eyes froze, her face showing suspicion. He. Wu Xiaozu maintained a polite smile. I'm an actor, would I lie to you? The beautiful woman's eyes flowed, with a look of you not understanding, and I didn't argue with you. She snorted lightly, forget it, let's drive your car. She turned her head away, no longer making a sound, with a mysterious and lonely posture as a master. That expression was clearly saying, you don't understand. I won't explain it to you. What is the relationship between actors and singers? Do you also know how to sing, dance, rap, and play basketball? Well, it seems like you really know how to play basketball. Wu Xiaozu smiled at the corners of his eyes and laughed heartily. Who wouldn't know in later generations that you, a straightforward girl, are a soul singer? There are countless soul singers, and I am wise enough to speak and kneel halfway. Are you really good at forcing yourself to wash the floor like this? Soul singer. Wang Zuomen. At first glance, Wu Xiaozu recognized this beautiful woman. The first encounter between Wu Xiaozu and Wang Zuxian ended the conversation in a very awkward atmosphere. Until they reached the finish line, there was no further communication between the two. Watching Wang Zuxian, a beautiful woman with long legs, walk into the TVB artist dormitory wearing a hoodie paired with high-waisted washed white jeans and carrying a small backpack made of rivet black leather, disappear Qianying. Wu Xiaozu then withdrew his gaze and rushed out with a foot on the gas pedal, returning to pick up the person. At this moment, Fei Cheng, Luo Dong, and Su Liao looked at the empty street corner. There is a feeling of recognizing a fake big shot. The artist dormitory is an apartment provided by TVB for contracted artists and staff. The environment is clean and very safe, and the most important thing is that the rent is very cheap. I can also meet with TVB employees from time to time. Wang Zuomong has been staying here ever since she was bought out by Fang Yihua for 280,000 Hong Kong dollars and brought into the Xiangjiang entertainment industry from Beibei. We had to wait until the wireless relocation in 1987 to move out of here, and later generations also terminated their contract with Shaw before moving out of the artist's apartment. I lived here for 7 years. Wang Changleg opened the door and walked into the apartment. At first sight, he saw his long-legged half-blood girlfriend with silk suspender pajamas and facial mask curled up on the sofa, biting an apple while chasing the drama. Upon hearing the sound of the door, he casually asked without looking back, "Joey, how was your date with the King of Songs?" "Meet you a big-headed ghost." "I just mentioned ordinary friends. A group of people just gathered to have a meal." Wang Zuomong casually shook off her 2 canvas shoes, kicked off her jeans, and her fair and straight legs were instantly exposed to the air. I lay on top of my best friend, reached out for an apple, took a hard bite, and complained, "I was really angry taking a taxi just now. What's going on?" Upon hearing these words, my best friend leaned over to Wang Zuxian and curiously said, "Can't the driver be a wet and salty ghost?" Wang Zuomen knocked off her best friend Anlushan's claw, intending to grab an apple, and said angrily, "You don't know how outrageous that driver is. The radio was playing a song, and I just hummed a few times." He suddenly turned his business to a big one, deafening and covering my voice, which made me so angry. "Don't let me see him again." He waved his small fist. Before she could finish speaking, her best friend burst into laughter, her whole body trembling with laughter. "You're still smiling. I can't do it anymore. Laughing makes my stomach ache. You sing. Ha. Ah. Wang Zuomen rushed towards her best friend with a frantic expression on her face, and the 2 tall and sexy girls frolicked on the sofa without any image. Only long legs and recommended tickets cannot be let down. I hope to keep up with recommended tickets and collections while looking at legs. End of this chapter.